Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. Today, joining me is NETX5. We're doing a crossover review, so we'll be doing two for the lead. Sorry, I'll start again from that part. Joining me, NETX5. What was I going to say? It's alright, I'll get it in a minute. So with the lead up to Robert Rodriguez's new film, Alita Battle Angel, was decided to review a couple of his films that we've enjoyed and liked. So on my channel we'll be reviewing Sin City, and on the NETX5's channel we'll be reviewing From Dusk Till Dawn. So what I want to try and do is something a little different this time. I sort of want to do more of a conversation rather than a review. Just talk about the things we liked, things we didn't like, and the aspects of the film we thoroughly enjoyed. So Sin City. So this was kind of a groundbreaking film when it came out, ultimately bringing a comic book to life. And it hadn't been really done before, and it was quite effective, and it took Robert Rodriguez a long time to convince Frank Miller to do it, because it was Frank Miller had been burnt too many times in Hollywood and didn't really want his stuff to be butchered once again. But he ultimately agreed after he saw what Robert Rodriguez was able to do. And really, it's just a fantastic film, I think. I'm a big fan of the film noir. I like that the sort of taking the comic book sort of look and graphic novels and ultimately put them on screen exactly like they were within the comic. And I thought that was really brilliant. It's just a fun and interesting film and uniquely done. So, what did you think of?
Yeah, I liked this movie. Like, I'm not the biggest Robert Rodriguez fan because most of his films I can't even stand. Because like Spy Kids, hated those. Like, and of course his grand masterpiece, Shark Boy, The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. What a masterpiece! Yeah. But then like with films like Sin City, like I liked this film a lot and I know like this film is big, like the big user of CGI, and I'm not big on films that use too much, that's heavy on visuals. But in this film's case, I feel like it worked a lot because this one was trying to like go for that comic book style that the graphic novel was going for, and I think it worked because like this is definitely the most visual film I've definitely seen.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. Not all of Robert Rodriguez's films have been really great. There are a handful you can count that are really good, and Sin City is definitely one of them.
Yeah, his films are definitely like guilty pleasure. You either love them or you don't, pretty much.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. What I really liked about Sin City was the look of it, and that he was ultimately bringing the comic book to life, and putting Frank Miller as like a co-director on it, and really using his graphic novel as a design for it, but also bringing new things to it.
Yeah,
I really liked a lot of the acting too. I think Bruce Willis is fantastic in it. Mickey Rourke is really great. I like Benicio del Toro's character. Clive Owen, I think, does a really good job. Most people are really solid in it.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I do like a lot of the acting, but I feel like some of it's not as good, because like Jessica Alba, I know you liked her performance, but for me, she was lacking and not as effective as I wanted her to be. Like, there were some other actresses, and there are some other actors as well who I thought were a bit, could have been better, but like, no, most of the performances overall were pretty good. Like Bruce Willis, Mickey Rourke were like probably my favorite performances in the film.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt like Bruce Willis was comfortable in that role, and it was probably one of his best performances. He felt like a new Humphrey Bogart.
He gave a shit for once.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I agree, there's some acting that's not great, and I think the ones that really suffer from it are Brittany Murphy and Michael Madsen. Like, I just didn't feel their performances were believable, and at points Jessica Alba was like that too, I do agree. I think it's because for a lot of them, not Madsen been around a while, but they didn't really know how to act in that way. They each have their own unique style, and it just didn't lend itself to that, and they didn't know how to act, where Mickey Rourke and Bruce Willis, like we've said, they knew exactly what it was and how to act and how to bring that to life.
Yeah, and work within that setting and that environment.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was like, everyone talks about The Wrestler's Mickey Rourke's comeback, but I think Sin City was his first real comeback from years of not getting much work to giving such a great performance, and he's so brilliant in it.
Yeah, this was definitely Mickey Rourke's comeback period.
Yeah, I still remember when this film first came out and I saw the trailer and then I saw the movie. I was so blown away by what I saw, and it sort of sparked so many things, other films as well. Like, there's so many movies that copied it in a way and tried to do the similar thing that didn't quite get it right. And I remember when I was at TAFE studying film, and we all got to make a short film, and some guys decided they wanted to make a Sin City sort of type film, and they never finished it. But it was just interesting how that sparked such an interest for people in doing it, because it was comic book movies were around then, but it wasn't done in that vein like it is now, I guess.
I do think this film has a sense of timelessness to it, because it's hard to believe this film came out in 2005, because I watched this film on Blu-ray and it just feels like a film from this decade. It feels like this film was made like any year in the past 5 years, because it visually looks better than any film you've seen in recent memory, I think, at least.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I think it's because of the way it's done. It makes it timeless. There isn't anything in it that you could say,
it's dated or that's so in that decade. It feels still relatively new.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's unfortunate that the sequel wasn't as good.
Yeah. I still haven't seen the sequel because I'm a bit hesitant to, but eventually I'll get around to it. But I have the lowest of expectations because everyone's really dogged on that sequel. But yeah.
I think they waited too long to do a sequel.
Yeah, waited about 9 years.
And Frank Miller wrote new stories, which I don't think he should have. I think they should have used some more of his graphic novel work. Because I don't know if he still had the storytelling ability that he did when he started those sort of comics.
Yeah. Speaking of the stories, probably my favorite story is the story with Mickey Rourke. That's my favorite story of the entire film, because I just liked how he's this ugly son of a bitch, but then he has a motive, and he his whole segment of the film, he's trying to get it done. It was definitely the most compelling out of all of them. And then my second favorite would probably be Bruce Willis's story in the first and then the last one. And I would probably put Clive Owen's story at the bottom. I didn't hate the story, I still liked it, but I always thought this story was probably the most slowest paced and probably the least interesting I found it to be.
Yeah, I can see that. I agree. I think Mickey Rourke's The Hard Goodbye, I think that one probably was the strongest, but I did really like the Bruce Willis one as well. But with the Clive Owen one, I liked that. I liked that he had red chucks on, I liked the red car, I like his performance. You're introduced to Miho, which is one of the best characters in the whole thing, and Rosario Dawson's great in that segment. But yeah, I guess it does take a bit of time to tell its story. But also like how, even though each of these stories were separate, the way Robert Rodriguez was able to put them together.
Yeah, they intercut with each other.
Yeah, and then they had exactly. Then they had characters from the other ones in the same thing, especially in the bar scenes, because they actually built the bar, so they were able to put a lot of characters in that. But the other interesting thing I felt that Robert did as well is a lot of the times the actors aren't in scenes together. They're just shot in to make it look that way, which I thought is kind of clever of the abilities that Robert Rodriguez has had. And he talked about in the commentary how he always wanted to test his abilities with this thing, and he wanted to do a noir, and he thought of Kiss Me Deadly, which was an old one from the 50s he wanted to remake, but he never did, and this was something he really wanted to do. And I really, really liked that. And yeah, it's just such a great film in so many levels, and being a noir fan, I just got sucked into it, and it really felt like the 40s and 50s sort of movies. It was very gritty and dark, which a lot of those movies were.
Yeah, because definitely there's a lot of colors used, and the blood definitely stands out. In most cases, most of the blood is white, but then in some of the other cases, there's a bit of red blood chucked in there to make it stand up.
So it is dark, but there is elements of hope there in a way, especially with Goldie and Mickey Rourke's character, Marv. I just think that's kind of hope. Even though she does die, she still gives him a bit of hope, and he just does what he does. He doesn't get, he's a bit shaken that she's died, but it's the first time he's really given a shit, I think, is about someone.
Yeah.
And the lengths he goes to achieve that, I think, were fantastic. And even when he's getting electrocuted at the end, he's like, is that all you've got? You know?
That's probably why I liked Mickey Rourke and Bruce Willis's character the most, and not Clive Owen's, because at least with Bruce Willis and Mickey Rourke, they had motive with their characters. With Clive Owen, there wasn't much of a reason. I know it's I forget the reason, but it's I just didn't find his reason to be that interesting.
Well, they didn't really explain his character. You look at Bruce Willis, Hardigan, he was retiring, he was
But he wanted to get that. Yeah, he wanted to get that one last job done out of the way, just like save this girl from being raped.
Exactly, and then Mickey Rourke just wanted to get revenge on the people who killed Goldie. So.
But then it's like I don't mean to rag on Clive Owen. I've never really bought him as a big lead actor. Like, he worked in Children of Men, but like, there's a reason he's never been considered on the level as like Bruce Willis and Mickey Rourke. Like, Clive Owen's a solid actor, but like, I don't think of him as like an A+ actor.
Yeah, well, I think he has done some stuff in that, but I guess he's English, but he's coming from a different way of acting too, which is different to everybody else. Where Mickey Rourke and Bruce Willis have always been the tough guy type of characters.
Yeah, but I feel like with their roles in this, there's more like flesh to their characters, where like they peel back and like they reveal humanity. They reveal humanity about their characters.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's a film that I've gone back to many times, and I like the fact you can either watch it as a full-length thing, but on Blu-ray you could actually watch just each story separately. I like the use of colour in it, that they kept very closely to the graphic novel, but added things. Frank Miller even appears in it as in a scene as the priest that Mickey Rourke kills, which I kind of like.
And Quentin Tarantino special guest directs a scene.
Yeah, which is the Clive Owen story, and that's probably the best segment of that whole short.
Yeah, that's probably my favourite segment of that entire Clive Owen section.
Yeah, it's just so well done. He said he was inspired by Suspiria a little way with the lights and the ideas in it, and just the fact that ultimately Clive Owen's talking to himself in the head, but it's like he's talking to this dead body, and it's kind of clever sequence of events that happen there. And these other actors who do a solid job, they aren't in it a lot, but have power in their performances or in their sequences they're in, such as Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, Powers Booth, Michael Clarke Duncan.
Yeah, there's quite a number of actors that just pop up. It was like the who's who of actors in a way.
Yeah.
And I kind of really like that they added some stuff in it. And Booth Powers is brilliant in the scenes he's in and has such power. And Rutger Hauer's quite good in his sequences as well. And Elijah Wood's another one we haven't really looked at, and he's kind of plays the creepiest character in the whole thing.
Yeah, it doesn't say a line of dialogue, but like he has a presence in the film. Yeah,
which you usually look at Elijah Wood, and he doesn't come across as that, but in this is so great. I just think Robert's able to get great performances. He's able to make the women look really powerful and beautiful, and does a really great job with that. And it's just, a refreshing take on that sort of thing when it came out. Yes, we've seen many things since then, but I just think it was a unique and refreshing take on it.
It hasn't been a film like this in a while, though.
No, and I just think that if the sequel had come out like
2 years after,
it probably would have been better, but it just unfortunately didn't. I think Sin City is probably one of Robert Rodriguez's best films. I thoroughly enjoyed it and got a lot out of it, and I'm really looking forward to Alita Battle Angel, because I think that it's his first directing in quite a while, like movie wise. Like, he's been working on the From Dusk Till Dawn series that there's a spin-off of the film as well, of From Dusk Till Dawn. And
he's been working on that project that's going to come out in 100 years.
Oh yeah, the one with the wine or whatever it is.
With John Malkovich.
It's locked away. I don't know who's going to see that. Who knows? None of us are going to be alive when that bloody thing comes out. But it's just good to see him return to sort of directing roots. James Cameron's really heavily involved in Alita as well, and put a lot of money and effort into it. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how it goes. That is very visual effect heavy, and whether that actually works for it or not, I don't know. Yeah. But I am looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, and hopefully Alita can do what Mortal Engines couldn't do.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, Mortal Engines
sucked. It sucked so bad.
Wasn't as good as it could have been, is how I put it. Yeah. Anyway, that's sort of about it. That's a bit of a discussion around Sin City. And obviously we'll be doing another review looking at From Dusk Till Dawn, which will feature on NETX5's channel. But yeah, it's been fun, and I've enjoyed having a bit of a conversation, trying something a bit different. So that's about it from us. But otherwise, we'll obviously may do a review of Alita when it comes out as well. Well, look, we'll sort of give it a bit of a score. I wasn't going to, but we will. So my score system's out of 5, and NETX5 scoring system's out of 10. So for me, I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 5.
For me, I'm going to give it 8.5 out of 10.
Anyway, that's all from me. Thanks to NETX5 for joining me. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.